So this is kind of my flu game, if you will, because I've been under the weather the last few days. But we've been hyping up the UFL. I will get that down eventually. Like, give me a few weeks, but I will get that down. This league did see a bunch of changeover. It's just easier to say spring football.
I was about to say spring football. There we go.
I've been a big fan of that for a while, of the spring football, and I truly think that this year has the potential to be the best. Unfortunately, I'll be honest, I was hoping with the merger that we would see bigger contests from DraftKings because it wouldn't have the XFL and USFL kind of breakdown. We could see bigger contests. We didn't see that, but if we fill and have a good showing, we could see it. And honestly,
they keep filling contests and need to fill more. They will just make a few bigger ones.
And that's really what we got to do. We got to show up with enthusiasm and interest, and then hopefully that changes. But I mean, niche sports are fun to play as well. I mean, during COVID, League of Legends got people through a lot of heartache and trouble. So I don't want to don't get me wrong.
Cornhole, ain't nothing wrong with that.
There was actually cornhole leagues. He's not kidding, by the way, in case you guys didn't know. There's also disc golf leagues as well during that period. So anytime DraftKings has a chance to make money, they'll do it.
They're just one step away from letting you bet on Little League games in the middle of Montana.
No, they're not going to do that.
I mean, if you can find a bookie.
No,
I'm sure Shohei's got a bookie somewhere. Oh, burn notice.
Ugh, too soon?
No, not soon enough, dude. Like we could go off on that, but this is a UFL show. We're not going to talk about Shohei Ohtani and how he's a degenerate gambler like all of us, and is probably watching and building lineups with us.
We are.
We're not going to talk about how the Boston Celtics actually suck and their best player is
shut up, maybe? That'd be awesome.
And Jason Tatum is a top 50 player all time, which makes him Scottie Pippen. Oh wow, that hurts. We're not going to talk about all that. We're going to talk about spring football.
Evan, we did say we were going to try to come up with 2 shows a week, and this is why, because we have so many topics to talk about. But I really like football. I think some of our best shows are walking people through a process. So I'm excited that we get to do this again, even if it isn't the NFL, even if it isn't as well known as the NFL. I think maybe even more so. That's why a show like this is even more important than, say, our NFL shows.
Like in my mind, it's still DFS. It's still daily fantasy. I can still apply all the same rules and logic I have for other sports to this and make a good lineup. Now, week 1, we don't have a lot of strong ownership or projections, but
for example, who is starting for Birmingham? Do we know?
They have already said they're going to run a 2-quarterback system.
They're going to run a 2-quarterback system. They're going to run Matt Corral and.
I know Smith was not. I thought didn't he play pretty well last season? Considering
he did. He was not horrible.
He did.
But he also had some injury problems. So, I could see how, maybe platooning him with Corral as your main arm might work. But
let's not forget Perez, another guy in that same game. He got hurt last year, too.
Again, between Perez and Smith, you might not have 2 quarterbacks, through the whole games. I see why Birmingham's doing it. Arlington probably should do it more, but Perez is still solid.
Martinez is a total running quarterback. So this team definitely has an identity of what they want out of their quarterback position. They want a versatile, scat back kind of approach. Martinez had a little bit of run with the Lions preseason roster a while back, so I'm aware of his game. He is truly a Tim Tebow type. Smith being, I compared him to Taysom Hill, kind of. So that I don't want to touch Corral or Smith because I just don't like the idea that they're going to split.
Yeah, the split hurts their ceiling. So I'm not looking at them to go to the top.
I know we're not quite building lineups yet, but can we just shoot in AJ McCarron? He's the most ready. He's been playing NFL football lately, practicing at least with NFL guys. He was already the best quarterback coming in last year. I don't see why he's not a shoo-in.
I also think him or Tamu will end up being the two chalky quarterbacks, like I was saying earlier. Like we don't have ownership, but I can infer that McCarron and Tamu's names.
Yeah.
But McCarron was on a NFL roster all
exactly. Like again, he is more well known. Like they talk.
He's ready right now.
People are going to want to click him.
Is exactly
it actually the best matchup for them? I'm not so sure. Like, I don't mind taking a different quarterback than like McCarron or Tamu.
And I understand what you're saying, Donnie. You're not wrong. But I think we should just talk it through because I do think Gov has a very good point.
Yeah, I think he's definitely in play. I don't want to.
I don't think anyone else is as ready as McCarron to play right now. And even if it's not the best environment for him, we know he's probably the best quarterback in the league.
I think guys like Tamu and Kukis might actually be in a better spot because they weren't on NFL rosters till January.
McCarron
they actually had a bit of an off season.
McCarron wasn't getting hit or anything. Like, this was just training for him.
But he's still at practice every day. He's still doing it. So, like, maybe he's more in shape, whatever you want to say. But, like, he still had to do things. Whereas Tamu and Kukis were training and staying in shape because they were on these teams and moving into the next year. But they were staying and training in shape with their own team. Whereas McCarron goes and learns a new NFL system for 3.5 months and then comes back to St. Louis, which I don't believe he was on St. Louis before. I think he was on a different team. So, like, he's not even coming back to this league with, like, the same system.
Well,
I'd rather take Tamu or Kukis who are in the same system than McCarron, who might be a better player, but is on, like, System 4 in the last year and a half.
And I don't think Donnie's particularly wrong, but, I mean, I do think McCarron's going to be 40% owned.
I agree. Like, I'm looking for reasons to get off him because he's probably going to be the chalk.
I like Chase Gabers myself.
I'm big on Kukis because I've heard Memphis is going to be okay, and I like Victor. So like they're going to have a strong pound it run game, which helps. Like,
well, let's
help
disregard for a second. Let's disregard quarterback because let's build around what we know. Like, let's just continue. We never pick quarterback first anyway.
That's true. When we're picking, we usually don't shoehorn in a quarterback.
See, what I kind of like, though, is Evan correct me if I'm wrong, Evan, you haven't watched any XFL content. This is like your first exposure to it, right?
Outside of AAF from a few years ago, I have not seen any non-NFL football outside of like terrible. NCAA college. But, I mean, yeah, we all know AAF was fucking terrible, just not even just speaking about the way the business was run. But, yeah, to answer your question, Logan, yeah, I have not watched any of the new age XFL before the merger.
Are you excited? Like,
I don't know what to expect out of this right now because it's a brand new business that's combining two different leagues, and I'm hoping it'll be managed a hell of a lot better than the AAF, which is already kind of a low bar to set.
Well, Evan, let's just for example, the NFL has already implemented XFL rules and tried XFL things.
Oh yeah, they did that 20 years ago.
No, but this is being run right. And it's continuing to stay alive. And they even got a merger to happen.
This is like, to be fair, like this is like year 3 or 4 continuously of a spring football league. That's a big step.
Yeah. And that's not even a new thing either. Like the NFL changed the way they set up TV cameras when the XFL started doing like the overhead zoom zipline cameras. The NFL
saw the things they could.
Yeah, but that was more of a gag league. Let's be honest. This is not a gag.
They did not try to make it a gag league. It just did not like. There were a lot of technical problems. There was a lot of things that needed to be ironed out. That like the original XFL would have been benefited from having all the things that the NFL already knew and set up that they didn't. That Vince McMahon thought he had in place because he had done the production on wrestling. The production on wrestling, the production on football with everything he wanted to do was way different.
And that's why it failed because he tried to run it like a wrestling company. And nobody liked it.
If he would have just ran it like a fucking sports league, like an actual sports league, he probably would have kept it going. But it just didn't work out. They come back 20 years later. They're trying to run it like a football league.
Yeah. And I just don't want to see anybody separate their shoulder in the first game of the season.
Oh, that won't affect anything here though, because this, like, the kickoff rule I think is big, because now people are going to be like, oh, I want to see what the new NFL kickoff looks like, so they're just going to tune in for at least one XFL game, and maybe it keeps them to stick.
Which should tell you the actual credibility of this league, the UFL, the fact that they ported over the kickoff rules. The NFL took from the XFL's original kickoff rules and applied it to this year's NFL. Like,
and eventually, the onside kick rule, where it's just 4th and 15, will be ported over. It's not an if, it's a when.
I kind of agree with that. Like, I don't hate that rule in and of itself. Just like, instead of having an onside kick, we just get the ball at like the 20-yard line or the 15-yard line, and you have 4th and 20. You convert or you give it back to them.
I really do truly think it is going to happen eventually, even if you don't like it.
Well, like, it's probably if they're trying to get rid of all these long kickoff hits and everything, like, that's where you're going to go. But I'm not so sure like that's exactly what they need to do.
Let's be honest, what they want to do is make it exciting, but then hope no one gets injured. That's really true. What they want.
Yeah, that's real. They want the most unrealistic thing. I want it to be fast and flashy and bing, bang, boom, but no one gets hurt.
No one gets hurt, right? And that's why they got rid of the, like, hit montages of, like, the NFL, top 100 hits. Because as long as they don't make a montage of it, we can celebrate the hits as long as we don't show too many replays in a certain order. So
just don't over celebrate.
But are we ready to build? Because I do, like I say, I just think that we're in such a spot because the three of us especially did watch the XFL. We did deep dive it because we were starting a new podcast. We had to try something new. We were looking for a niche sport to kind of sink our teeth into, to kind of give our podcast a new footing during that time. Like, if you look back at it, our podcast launched right around the time the UFL and the XFL launched. So this is kind of what made our podcast different and unique. So I can't wait to give the people kind of our insight, because I do think we have some. But I also think there's a really valuable lesson here in that we don't got to be right about everything. Sometimes people are going to overthink things. And at the end of the day, it's supposed to be fun. Like, no one has projections. No one knows everything. Like, there's going to be chaos. In a league like this, you almost have to embrace the chaos.
Yeah. See, the thing that I like about this, and I really do think we do have an edge, because I don't know about you guys, but I recognize most of these skill position names. Outside of running backs are the only ones where I don't recognize guys.
Yeah. I told you, I thought, well, maybe it was before the show, because sometimes I forget what I say on the show and off the show, but they've done a really good job of upping the talent level of this league. I feel like this is the most talented rosters I have seen at the start of any spring football league.
Is this Vander Esch kid related to the linebacker?
That's what I've been wondering too.
Could be. By the way, he did retire, citing injury concerns.
Leighton did, yeah.
I did not even notice. I thought he just signed a contract.
No, he decided to walk away because of injury concerns.
Oh my God, there's a dude named Tom Flacco.
Yeah, at quarterback there is a Flacco, and that's pretty funny.
I was wondering about him too.
Like, there's a Tom and a Doe and a Joe. Is there a Harry and a Dick Flacco too?
Come on.
But in terms of, I'm just gonna roll with that. But in terms of keeping credibility and like a real kind of a fluidity and a how would you say, like a credibility with your league, they have decided they are going to release the inactives and active rosters and have an in-depth depth chart 48 hours, that'd be nice, 40 minutes before the game. So they are trying to be as transparent as possible, which is good.
Well, they know the people who are going to be watching are going to be degenerates.
Yeah,
they know. Like with every sport, there's DraftKings, there's all the sports books are on the advertising. Like, they know where the money comes. It's propping up the league.
Yeah. I recently had that debate with my friend recently. He was saying, like, how much do you think gambling really affects sports? And he's trying to make this point that, like, we don't move the market that much. I'm like, oh yeah, how many DraftKings commercials do you see? When you watch a sports game. Tell me we don't move the market. Like, come on.
Side note: Tom Flacco is the younger brother of Joe.
That's pretty
cool.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Who does he play for? The Brahma Bulls? Oh,
The Brahmas, yes.
He went undrafted? How much?
Brahma
They
Bulls have
restart,
Logan's
didn't
favorite
they?
quarterback. They have Quentin Dormandy, who was enraged in that horrible controversy last year that he was completely acquitted of. And then they have a Flacco.
Yeah.
I had no idea they were related, but that is even cool. I will say, because I don't think we're going to get him, I will be playing some Chase Gabers in my personal lineups. He has looked really good in preseason for the Raiders.
Like, I would say, like,
Flacco's 29, by the way.
Yeah, he's a lot younger than Joe.
See, like we do this NFL style. Like, the highest total game is that DC San Antonio game.
But DC had a good defense last time. I know everything changed,
yes,
so we
DC
can't even use
has
that.
a great defense. Yes, they have what was a very stacked defense.
But didn't the whole
they
team
are the
defenders
in and of.
I thought the whole team completely reset.
Some they still kept. They were allowed to keep a chunk.
Okay.
And most of what DC kept was their defense.
So how about we do this? How about we draft everything but quarterback, and then we see what fits around quarterback.
Usually what we always do.
Yep.
All right. We don't have a random number generator. Hold on.
We don't. See, we can kick it old school. For the people who don't know, we usually do a random number generator.
All right. 1 through 100. You guys know the drill.
I think
you already know the number I'm going to pick.
Yeah, Evan's number's obvious, but Gov, Logan.
27.
Let's see.
Going 34.
Let me go 9.
It's 29. So that would be Gov, me, Logan, Evan, right? Yeah.
Yep.
I get the snake?
Yep.
You get the snake.
All right.
Just like a good dynasty team, you either want to be first or last, Evan.
All right. I'm a zap some salary from us.
Go ahead.
I kind of like this Wes Hills from the Michigan Panthers.
Thank you. By the way, Michigan.
Like, I'm like, he looks like he's going to be the all-around back. Get me 10 plus touch. Get me 10 plus carries. Get me inside the red work. Get me some receiving work at the running back position. So, I'll just pay up for him.
Well, here's the thing.
McCaffrey's McCaffrey, whatever.
Yeah. Here's the thing. This is something that we can't do with the NFL. Why? I don't even know who this is. Why is he priced this high? Give us some insight.
Well, first of all, the Michigan Panthers want to run the ball. That is their identity. The coach came out and said, like, he believes in running the ball. Their second running back is out, who also played for the Philadelphia Stars in the XFL. And Hillis is kind of a big, like LeGarrette Blount kind of pounder. So if they do get in the red zone, I do think he is going to get, like, he has the chance to get touchdowns.
Well, I don't know if is this like, the same guy that played for the Lions? Says he has one game played for the Lions in 2019.
Yes, it is.
So you've got a guy who's got NFL talent. Like, he's just trying to keep it going.
And we're talking about...
and he's fallen into a team where, like you said, like, I know Colburn. Colburn would definitely have taken red zone work and some yardage stuff had he been healthy.
And that's
now Hills has to do everything, and he was already a good receiving back, and I could see him getting 5 or 6 targets already. Now you're going to guarantee him 10 touches in the rushing game too. Like, that's he's capable of being one of the guys that pays off that value.
Well, that's 100% why I hovered over the running backs tab.
Now, I definitely rather pay up $89 for the running back than $10K for the quarterback.
I agree with that.
Like, you got to understand, like, it's a little different with our strategy. We have one less player to pick, same $50K. So you can spend up a little more. We don't need to sit in that 5-6K range or less for value. We can play a bunch of $8K dudes
Well,
but just like then, I don't want to make that 8K dude my quarterback. I'd rather still find the 5K quarterback and the cheap tight end. So I'll still want to probably find one cheaper receiver and play maybe a cheaper quarterback.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that cheaper receiver for us here, Aitman.
Oh,
for those, I know we have a history with him last year, but if you want to pull up that whole receiving core from that team, Logan.
I was looking for the Battlehawks. This is it,
okay.
Right?
No. Aitman. No, Aitman is on the
Seattle.
Yeah.
Seattle?
St. Louis.
Or St. Louis.
Yeah, I thought so.
I was going to say, there's no Seattle team anymore.
My bad.
He has a second. Now that
okay. Yeah, so, for those who don't know, this receiving core, for one, is stacked. Because Butler last year was good. Pearson was amazing last year. And Aitman was also amazing last year. So this offense is probably going to end up being the best offense in the league. I don't know if any of you disagree with that.
I mean, this is a solid receiving core. Darius Shepard, but
they also have McCarron.
Pearson should be coming back too. He vows to be trying to come back.
Yeah. No, they have 3 legit spring football guys that we've seen in the receiving room, along with the best spring quarterback that we've seen. So this is a team that is probably going to be a very good force coming.
So I don't mind that pick, getting Aitman in there. That works out.
I actually like that a lot. A big body guy. Honestly, thought he should have actually done better, last year and then in previous years. It just for some reason he wasn't given a chance to really shine. But he has the body type and the archetype that you think he would do well in a league like this.
Yep.
Given that price, I think it's smart.
Logan, next pick.
I'm just gonna go with the guy that I think. Let's see, a guy that I think could really break this league because of his speed and his talent is there. Give me Kirkland.
I love Kirkland, another spring football guy. I know he's a talented receiver. I'm surprised, it was him and then the guy who's on Dallas right now who came up that they use as their kick returner. Those were the 2 receivers I thought would actually get jobs in the NFL.
Also played in the SEC.
I'm now blanking on the freaking Dallas guy's name. Shit.
Evan, next pick. Oh, the Turpin? Are you talking about Turpin?
Yeah, Kavontae Turpin. It was Turpin and Kirkland that I thought would have been the 2 that would get roles in the NFL at some point.
That's what I'm saying. They were electric.
Is Turpin still here?
He's in the NFL.
No, now he's signed with Dallas. He's got an actual contract.
Yes.
Yeah, no. I was gonna say I wasn't sure if he even made it to Dallas's roster after being drafted.
No, he's been their gadget guy.
Yeah.
That's the thing. He played the last couple of years in the spring football leagues, in the XFL and that. And then he signed with Dallas the beginning of sometime in the last year and a half, and they've kept him as their gadget guy and punt returner.
Dallas loves their gadget guys, man. They're
gonna have
NFL.
all that this year. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it's my snake pick. First one, I'm gonna take one of the first tight end off this board. Give me Jay Sternberger.
The Sternberg.
Get a little mixed up here with. Well, I mean, there's only 4 matchups anyway. I guess matchups don't matter.
He's on Birmingham too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Birmingham looks stacked.
I'll admit, the teams I like, just looking at their rosters right now, would be Birmingham and would be St. Louis.
One thing I will say about going with the tight end is you're almost you're basically baking in the chances of a touchdown when you take a guy like this, and you could definitely see it happen.
I just want to bank off of who I think is at least going to get volume.
I will say there is one name that I think we're going to miss that I really want to try and get in there, and I almost would consider changing Aiden for. But let's continue. Next pick, Evan.
Yeah, let me grab this next one. So I'll keep it a little bit on the lower end here. I'll grab another Birmingham guy, Amari Rogers.
See, okay. Since our spots are taken, do you want to go into Amari Rogers? I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't know about Amari Rogers, so.
I thought he played very well in the spring football league, but I felt like his quarterback missed him a lot last year. Like, just gave him bad footballs. Like, I thought he could have a lot better year than he had, and it wasn't all his fault.
Well, there is now that this whole receiving room flex is filled up, there is one guy that was a target monster last year. I'm sure you remember. That was, I think, even 1 week he completely broke his slate. Cody Lattimore. We have not mentioned him at all.
Yeah, I thought about him.
He's a solid.
He was a target monster.
I do think I would stick to him in like a game stack though. Like if I'm playing Latimer, then that means like I'm.
I just want to get some names out there that we might miss or not see. So if you guys have any other names like
what
that,
the fuck? Where the fuck is he?
Cody Lattimore is on.
I just saw this earlier.
Yeah. He's in the Brahmas.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Based on championship odds and I guess somewhat ignorance, I don't know how many San Antonio Brahmas I want to play on a regular basis, being that they have one of the largest odds of even making it to the championship, which tells me they're probably not going to be that good. Maybe you guys know more than I do.
They're not. Like the Vegas odds are pretty solid. Like they're not expected to be that good this year. Yeah. They do have some talent that I think is like usable. Like again, Kirkland is a pretty damn good receiver. So like,
if I didn't take
Garber's like a lot more. But like they're definitely not favored to do anything.
Who's not favored to do anything? I can believe that out.
San Antonio.
Yeah, which makes me think like, hey man, there's the one guy who I know is going to eat, and that's Lattimore. That's what happened last time too. I think he wasn't on a very good team, and he was just kind of the only NFL guy there, potential NFL guy. That's the
thing. They do have Lattimore and Kirkland, so like, can they make those two weapons work?
And I like their quarterback quite a bit.
So like they are definitely sneaky, but they're probably, I don't know what the actual odds are, but it's probably enough where you should be putting a bet on it, but it's still not something that's going to pay off that much.
Another name that we haven't talked about that he was getting a decent amount of targets last year, that Logan loved actually heading into as an undrafted free agent for the Lions, I believe he went to Sage Surratt. Big body man. Yep. Did not score any touchdowns last season.
Yeah,
but
practically 6'7", like he is all 6'6".
Yeah, but he had 57 catches, 600 yards last season. That's, I mean, he really was a massive target.
I'm playing Sage Surratt in my.
I also am playing Sage Surratt.
Yeah,
that would definitely be a guy I would play.
And that's only 6K. So that's another guy who's like
people need to worry out. Like they're going to look at these and see wide receiver, tight end, and just grab wide receivers and try to jam in pricing. So but I like guys like Atman this week. Like I like guys.
I like the big body guys. Like all they need to do is catch one pass.
Now there are a few guys like Wes Hills and Kirkland who are kind of pay ups, but that's where I think we can still fit guys in. Now, I think we're kind of stuck. We need to figure out what you plug in the lowest defense?
Yeah, I plugged in the lowest defense just to show us the top options at quarterback.
Well, yeah, our top option is a split quarterback room right now. And then Perez, who was also very good last season that he played.
Or Garbers. And to be fair, I want to stack. I like the stack. So
I agree. It has to be. We have to be bringing a weapon with him.
So at that point, we either need to go with Jamar or Garbers, which makes me want to go down from someone.
I don't like personally.
Maybe we don't take the shot on Kirkland and we go down so that we could play.
Is this where we play Sage Surratt instead of Kirkland, and then we can get up to any quarterback we want? We can get to it.
And then we could change defense as well.
Yeah, we could not play minimum. Yeah, I think that's what we got to do.
Yeah.
I will say, I think we're very heavy on a Birmingham game if we would have played quarterback there where we didn't have a bring back, so I like switching this up a bit. because also Evan, this is like Birmingham. This game, Birmingham and Arlington. This is their big game. This is the two champions fighting head to head.
So we play Kaysen. I like Cookus myself.
Like I think Cookus is my favorite of the 10K guys, but like we could just put in
AJ.
McCarron since we have Atman.
Yeah,
and we have Hills, like it's a full little game mini, plus the two Brahmas.
Yeah, that's why I like it because it's a mini with. If it wasn't the mini, I probably wouldn't like it as much. But we have the Michigan player,
and we have $1,000 to play with. So like, all right, so we got a little mini of that St. Louis, Michigan game. We got Memphis scoring some points, and we got Birmingham scoring points. So,
any objection to the Battlehawks TST?
No, I don't.
No, actually, that actually fits. And
well, the only one we'd be hurting is our running back, which is okay.
I could see just doing the showboats, having that little mini with the tight end in the defense,
and then we just leave the 600 on the table.
Yeah, like we want to get a little different. People are going to try to jam in stuff, and like you see how it's a smaller player field. Like I might be able to just leave some money on the table and get it all in.
I like that.
Like I don't hate that either. We're gonna play some chalk with AJ.
I hate how close it is to my personal, but that also makes me feel good.
It's got only 8 teams, right?
That's true. But I ended up getting the same defense. I had Sage Sherrod, I had Aitman, I had McCarron. I put Hills in because I'm trusting you guys.
Well, anytime there's a backup running back who's out, who has talent, we're looking at Hills probably getting 90% of the workload, unless you think one of the 4K guys gets 90% of the workload.
Does Etling get work at running back as well? That's possible. I get it. He is an athlete. He does have some wheels on him.
I'm not saying that he's going to get all the workload, but I'm saying like there's a chance he gets 90%.
There's a chance, but they have 2 backs also, which I'm sure is one a fullback or is it an actual running back?
I think it's an actual running back.
Okay. And then Etling, I personally can say he does have the ability to run, and I think he was moved to wide receiver for a little bit, Danny Etling. So he is kind of like another Taysom Hill type guy. He isn't that type of player.
Yeah. Evan, how can this league disappoint you?
How can it? I mean, I don't think I'm going to be able to answer that right now because I don't know what this is going to look like in its current form. And I know for sure I'm going to be able to watch the 12 noon game, the Stallions and Renegades. Battlehawks and Panthers, I'm probably going to miss the second half because I'm going out later that evening. But I'll at least get a read on what it's going to be like.
I'm actually proud of
Sunday
that.
Will be perfect.
So you get to watch what is supposed to be their premier game.
Yes. Yeah, so that should at least give me an idea of what the best of what they have to offer will look like.
And they were smart because they went champion against champion. They took their XFL champion and the UFL champion.
That would have been stupid not to do it.
Well, for week 1, they could have held off on this. But this is like, we are going to give you what we have at least seen as the best. They might not be the best. I mean, St. Louis looks pretty good. So.
I'm actually proud of that answer, though, Evan, because I think a lot of people just make fun of spring football, or they make because it's like the funny thing to do. Because like everyone's like, well, they're not as good as the NFL, but it's like, no, they're not. But it's a different thing.
To be a fanboy is to cut yourself short of enjoyment in life, because when you pledge allegiance too much to one thing, you just limit the fun you can have in life, and that's no way to live.
I pledge allegiance to the Celtics, and look where that's got me.
You poor thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotten you 7 conference finals and a lot of heartbreak. So
let me tell you, a lot of heartbreak.
A lot of highs, a lot of lows.
The Celtics have been like the Cinderellas, and then all of a sudden, I've watched them come from Isaiah Thomas 5'9" to being the favorites, and then they end up not being the favorite because they second half fall apart every time.
I just wish you could have watched Muggsy Bogues in his prime. 5'3". That guy could out-dribble anybody.
I do want to get this show out with the most viewership possible, though, so I do think we should kind of wrap up and let people try to view this, because I do think having the SEO and having people maybe watch it, there's not a lot of content out there. And believe it or not, me and Donnie and Gov have actually paid quite a bit of attention to spring football. And then Evan has an open-mindedness to it. I equate it to liking a rock band or liking music. There's nothing wrong with liking grunge music. You don't gotta like the popular stuff because it's popular. So I'm very encouraged that you're going to give this a chance, and hopefully you enjoy it.
I just hope I wasn't giving off the impression that I was going to miss it, because this is going to be an interesting 8-team league that hopefully will at least change more of what football already is in the NFL.
I'd be shocked if this league fails, personally.
I would too. It looks promising.
I think it had a greater chance to fail a couple years ago, but they've already made it through. Like sometimes like when you start a new business, the hardest thing to do is to continue on when the future looks very bleak. And I think they've made it through that period. So.
Now that the competition against each other is done and they're just merged together, and I think at this point we are set for good football for possibly the best of our lives in spring.
And honestly, like I said, I think if you looked at the rosters, I think this is the most talented roster group we've seen.
Yeah,
and the most fun.
We needed full football outside of the NFL ever since Arena Football League. It hasn't been really much of a thing. So this would be good to at least have 100-yard football rather than just indoor 50-yard football.
Yep.
I think you'll enjoy it too. I really do.
It is really it's surprisingly good football. You'd think oh, this is just going to be bad football, but these are all really good college players that want to keep playing.
No, they're in the pros for a reason. I mean, they may not be on top like an AJ Brown, but they're gonna be looking damn good against these guys.
Semi-pros are semi-pros.
Yeah, well, these guys are still pros. I mean, let's not get it twisted.
Exactly. There's still the word pro in semi-pro.
Right. And it allows us to pick up our Discord apps and communicate throughout the games. And that kind of stuff is invaluable. I think a lot of that stuff goes unnoticed. And that's why I enjoy doing these podcasts. That's why I enjoy playing DraftKings. It's a real communal experience. So I'm excited for that. You can almost see. I mean, I'm fighting through an illness, and I'm like, you know what? We're gonna find the energy. We're gonna dig deep. We're gonna find the energy tonight because this is gonna be exciting. There'll be football on, so I'm excited. Hopefully, you guys are all excited. Like I say, we want to get this out as soon as possible, so then people will get the chance to watch it. Because unfortunately, maybe fortunately for our viewership, there's just not a lot of content. I know. Pat Mayo did a breakdown of it with Run the Sims, but outside of that, I haven't seen a ton of content for the UFL. So hopefully we see some more. Hopefully it continues to grow, and we even see some bigger content next week. With that being said, good night, guys. Take care.
Have a great night, everybody.
Night, everyone.
Peace out.